All right, everybody, we are going to be live again for a little bit, for about an hour. I'm going to be doing a couple of odds and ends today. Let me just get my Amazon stream going here so we can get going on that. And what we're going to be doing is looking at this portable solid-state drive kit from Pluggable and a couple of other things that I have on my list of quick hits to kind of do. This is like a quick review thing. So we're going to start with this, and I already shot my intro to it. I just have to log my clip real quick, and then we're going to unbox it and see how it performs. And I'm using this, let me just get my YouTube thing up so I can see all of you chatting with me, this Lexar drive that I reviewed a little while back on Amazon. Both of these devices came in free of charge. The drive came in through the Amazon Vine program, and I think Pluggable sent this to me directly. If you want to find or follow what I'm doing here, you can go on my Amazon live stream, which you can find linked in the video description. It might work better for you right now just because the YouTube CDNs are really clogged up pretty decently right now. So I think there might be some glitchiness to the live stream. And I would love to see how my lip sync is doing. We often struggle with that on YouTube when we first kick on this thing. So we'll see what goes on there. I'm getting like messages and phone calls. It's been like, this has just been such a crazy time. Everything is remote. And I'll tell you what, if I don't have to do another conference call after this, I am never going to do one ever again because I am so tired of the mute your phone and da, 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 da. People have a hard time with the conference calls, as I do. All right, so we got some friends in with in the YouTube chat at the moment. We've got D. Johnson, Travis Rhodes, Recipe Bob, all the regulars are stopping in. Patrick Chang is here. He got the notification. Sigmund Sun, Kevin Morrison. We're got the good crowd in here. So I'm going to be recording as we live stream here. So let's pick it up here on the unboxing. I've got a bunch of stuff to cover in a short period of time, so let's do it. All right, we're recording. Actually, you know, I didn't log my clip from before, so let me do that real quick. So I have a conference call at 1. This doesn't end. One conference call after the other. Thanks for the feedback on the lip sync, everybody. Appreciate that. Yeah, the Pluggable products are nice. They, they're commodities to some degree, but there's decent people behind the company. And this is the NVMe intro. Okay. And this will probably appear on the extras channel. We got Jason from the UK is here, Kevin Morrison, Matt Green, David Yablonsky is here. And we've got Inky Steve from Ireland, too. I was in Ireland not all that long ago. I was just stopping by, though. I had a connecting flight. All right, 3, 2, 1. So let's take this thing out of the box and see what is inside. We've got some documentation here, which we'll look at if we need to. A little notice here to get a review going. And this is the drive enclosure itself. And again, this is toolless, so you don't need to have any screwdrivers or anything on hand here. And it looks like we need to use this switch here in the back to unlock everything. It appears as though this part is metal, so it's got a little bit of a heat sink in there. What I don't see is any kind of thermal pad on this, so it looks like maybe that might be in the box. So let's see. Yep, there is a thermal pad here. So we'll probably need to apply the thermal pads to the drive when we install it. Now, I'm probably not going to do that now because I do have to take this drive and install it inside of a computer that we will be shipping out shortly. But we'll take a look and see what their advice is on that. Typically, you want to have one of these thermal pads on here just because it helps with the heat transfer from the drive to the case. So that is recommended there. Let's see what they suggest here on the instructions. Yeah, so it looks like, let's see, they actually have a website here. Use the slide lock for gently land the SSD. Yeah, so you probably want to use that thermal pad on there, but we're not going to do that now. There are some little rubber gaskets here too. I may just start this recording over again. Let me just see what I can do with this. 301. I think I'll just pick it up in unboxing, cut before thermal pad. And I think I'll pick it up on me in just explaining what you do with those thermal pads. 3, 2, 1. Now you'll probably want to use these thermal pads on your NVMe drive to help with the heat transfer between the drive and the metal case here. So we would, let me start that again, 3, 2, 1. Now you probably want to use these thermal pads on your NVMe SSD to help heat transfer from the drive to the external case. I would definitely recommend installing those and using those on your drive. You might want to find a few more of these if you do plan to swap drives in and out. This is not all that expensive. It's about $60, and sometimes you can find it for less, so you might just buy a couple of these if your intent is to use a bunch of drives with it. Also in the box, we have a couple of USB-C cables. We've got a USB-C to USB-C and a USB-C to USB-A, which is great. So they're not using any crazy adapters here. You're getting 2 distinct cables in the box. That should help quite a bit there. And I think that is it for what's in the box. And it looks like you don't need to even screw the drive in. It's got a little rubber gasket here with a little slot that the drive will kind of push into, I believe. So we're going to give this a shot when we install this drive. And let's go to our overhead view here and have a look at how this goes in. And let's see here. Let's open this up and pop this in. So what we're going to do is just align the drive here with the pins and then push it down. So just pop it in like that and then push it down over the rubber thing here, and it looks like we are installed. After this part's over with, you definitely want to put that thermal stuff on the top of the drive again to get those chips to come in contact with the exterior case. And now what I'm going to do is get those installed and then push this thing back together. Okay. Yeah, so you know what's been interesting with this streaming over the last couple of days is that what I'm finding with it is that it's like the CDN issues. You know, it's based on how they're moving their traffic around, and that's been resulting in people getting a different experience based on your location. So what I found is that the Amazon stream for everybody seems to be working better, just because there's not as many of us streaming to Amazon shopping right now as there are to YouTube, because I think there's a lot of live streaming going on. Like in an hour, Mo Willems goes live to YouTube, and then it's all over, because every kid in America in the world is watching Mo Willems. So, so let's see, drive assembly. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pick it up. Hopefully this is going to be a usable video. All right. So we'll just kind of pick it up here on the final portion of the enclosure. If you want to see these items that I'm looking at, if you go to the link down below, that'll take you right to my Amazon stream where I am, where I've got links to everything. So you can go right in there and get it done. Okay. So let's go from here. Yeah, right down in the description, right down in the description, there is a link. I can't put it in the chat because it won't let me. But if you click that link, it'll take you right over to the shopping page on Amazon. And you can actually watch me on Amazon. You'll have a better experience too, I think. Ed Horn is asking if I stream in HEVC. No, because actually there are no services at the moment that take HEVC. However, there is a device that we reviewed from Teradek, their VidiU Go, I think it's called. They allow an HEVC stream from your host location to their CDN cloud, and then they convert to H.264 and push it out. But they charge you extra for that. Alberto da Silva is having some issues with X265 on Android devices. I actually didn't have that. I watched a couple of things last night on my Plex server that are HEVC. I did not have problems with my Shield with that, but I'm not sure if others are having issues on the phones. And Carly Manring is joining us on the Amazon chat. So let's do a little continuation here. So we'll start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we've got the drive installed, and we're going to just finish pushing the case together here. And you can hear there's a little click because that's when the locking mechanism engages. So I can't pull it apart now unless I flick that switch and then pull it apart this way. And then we can, of course, put it back together. And that's all you got to do. Just get those thermal pads on there and put the drive in, get it secure over that rubber gasket, and you're good to go. So now what we're going to do is plug this into my PC and run a benchmark test on it and see how it does versus the drive being installed directly in the computer. Okay, making good progress here. Because I have a hard out at 1 p.m., everybody. So we're going to be hustling through this little drive demo. Inclusion. All right, we got that there. And Recipe Bob is watching on both platforms for the heck of it. And I appreciate the kind words, Carly Manring, in the Amazon chat. And we got a bunch of folks in today. This is good. So yeah, this is a pretty easy installation. So if you want to see this again, this is the drive inside. And boom, just like that. Now what I'm not doing is installing the thermal pads on this drive because I have to install this on a computer that I am shipping out today. So the test we're going to run is going to be pretty short. So I don't think we're going to really hit any thermal issues. That's what Patrick was asking. Yeah, so if it's way off, you know what, let's just put the pads on. What the heck? I can get them off. So let's do that real quick. What I'll do is record a little B-roll as I do that. I'm just going to stand up here and get my overhead view a little zoomed in. So the problem with my overhead view is that I hit the limit of my camera can only be up so high based on the height of the ceiling, so its focus, it's like the best focus I can get. And Cedar Lake has a spare NVMe. Wasn't sure what to do with. Yeah, these things are great if you've got spare drives. Also good for transferring things over. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is just record this and we'll figure out where to go in the edit. 3, 2, 1. All right, so what we're going to do now is install the thermal pads on the drive, and I'm just going to place them on top of the chips here. And again, these will transfer heat from the drive to the case, and you'll get a little better performance out of your drive because typically these drives run a little hot, and a lot of them will throttle themselves. They'll slow down if they're not cooling off properly. And just put that on like that. And now we're going to just reassemble the case here, and it might require a little bit of juggling here just to make sure. Actually, look, it looks like it fits pretty nicely in here. So it is able to go right over those stickers there, and then when I push this shut, you'll hear it click. So it locks in, and then you can't open it back up again unless you flick the switch that way. So there you go. So now the installation is complete. A pretty simple process here, and now we're ready to plug it into the PC and run a benchmark on it. All right, so I think I might use this instead. I'm going to have Jake figure this one out. See what you can do with this. 304 thermal pads. And closing up. Okay. All right, so now we are going to plug it into my other computer here. And let me just get a better view of this. So I've been really enjoying my new gaming PC that I bought recently. This is my Lenovo I think this is the 740. And I reviewed this not that long ago if you want to check out that review. Really nicely performing computer. I got a 2080 inside, and the one mistake that I made when I got this was I was not aware, and I hadn't done enough research to know exactly what the differences were between a Max-Q chip and the non-Max-Q version. So the performance was not as breathtaking as I was hoping it would be, but it's still better than my 1080 equipped desktop was upstairs, which of course we just upgraded to something a little bit beefier. Okay. Now, let us plug the drive in. Recipe Bob wants to know if I'm going to get Half-Life Alyx. I actually have it. I think I forgot exactly how I acquired this thing, but it just showed up in my inventory on my Steam account, and I have one of those. I guess I must have that Steam had this, or Valve had this, like, one price for all the games that they ever made, and then apparently you get all the new games that they made. So I ended up getting Half-Life Alyx in my feed, like, right off the bat, which was awesome. So I've got it, and I played it just briefly the other night. It's been hard here with the kids because we're climbing the walls here, everybody. It's going fine, but it's just thrown off the whole vibe of the house, and I have not had the ability to have a lot of game time in as a result. Give me 1 second. I want to do two things here. What is this IQ thing? I just need to get my NDI thing going here real quick. NDI tools. We're going to go to the scan converter. Now, what's cool about the NDI scan converter is that once it's enabled, let me just make sure I'm at the right frame rate here. Yep, we'll do 60p here, or 30p. Now that that's enabled, I can go over to my input 6 here, and I can just bring in my laptop display so you can see what I'm looking at. Watch this, ready? Boom, look at that. That's over the network. There it goes. Although I've been having some issues. There it goes. You know, I wonder if part of the problem here is that, because it's freezing up on me. You see how it's frozen there? And I think what might be happening here is that my laptop display is running at 120 hertz. So let's see if we turn this down. And I have to remember, I have 144 hertz display. How about that? I forgot. That was the display speed. And I'm wondering if that is part of the reason why I'm having these issues with the scan converter, because it freezes up whenever I move anything. So let's try one other thing here. Let's go to use monitor frame rate. Let's see what happens when I do that. Yeah, and it's like totally frozen. See, I can move it around here. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, and it like freezes up. So you know what I'm going to do, folks? I am going to just plug in my cable here. Ooh. Let's grab this one here, and then we'll just shoot out a 30p over HDMI mirrored, and that should rectify the issues we are having here. So much for that. I got to write to them about that, because the NDI usually works fine. Like, I use it upstairs all the time, but I'm running at a lower frame rate, so. Travis Rhodes wants to know if I have a Valve Index. I did have one, and I did a review of it. You should check it out, because I wasn't happy with it. I had some major problems with the Index, and I think it related to my eyesight, to be honest. Because what happened was my whenever I moved my head, I was getting this jelly vision thing, and I think it related to the optics and my eyesight. And I don't have corrected vision. Now, my wife has been telling me to go get my eyes checked forever, but I have no problem seeing things. But I probably should go get it looked at. But I think it's related to the way my eyes work. And I posted a bunch of stuff on Reddit about it, because I wanted to see if others could write in with similar experiences. And sure enough, I've been getting some people writing in to say, yeah, I have the same problem. So I think it's not just me. All right, so this drive is already formatted. Yeah, we're good. It's NTFS2, I believe. Let's see. Yep, perfect. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to load up the disk software. I have to remember where I put it. I think I put it on... I think I installed it on here, DiskMark, because we ran it the other day. And the problem is that they recently updated it, so it's got, yeah, this is the right one, okay. So they keep changing the stuff that they measure on this test, and it's been driving me crazy. So what I did do, though, let me show you what I did. Because we have another version of the test that we ran on my disk station. Let me pull up that other test. And let me log in with this real quick. And grab my image. bear with me for 1 second, folks, because I have an actual test that we ran before we did this. And let's see. And and by the way, a lot of people were saying when I was getting that Jellyvision on the Valve Index headset that, oh, that must be because it's redrawing frames or whatever. And that actually was not the case, because I had turned everything down to like 90 just to see what would happen. But my experience with VR has been such that it's really pushing a lot of hardware significantly. And one of the things that I'm eager to show you with Half-Life Alyx is that it's actually probably the most optimized VR game that I've played. And so what I ended up doing is I returned the Valve Index, and then this was right around when Amazon Prime Day was going on, and I was able to get a Vive Pro, which has, I think, similar resolution to the Index, but the OLED displays versus the LED, and it looks great. And I can't tell you how the visual clarity on Alyx is better than any VR game I've ever played. Like, there's no blurriness. Like, when you're up close to these textures, they're super, super sharp. It's amazing. I've only spent like 20 minutes in there, but I was like, wow, it's just amazing what they've been able to do so far. Yeah, it's good stuff. Nathan Martin says he hopes I'm okay. Yeah, I'm doing just fine. I'm just sitting here in my house. I haven't left the house in 2 weeks. I don't leave the house normally anyhow, but I have like done things to I've done things to in my life volunteer-wise to get me out of the house on occasion, and I haven't been able to do those things, so it's been tough. Okay, so we are going to run this test real quick, and we'll get the results, and then we'll start talking about those results in a minute, and I'll answer some questions while we're going here. Kaushin Supreme wants to know, is this going to be a storage portable drive? So this is an enclosure, and you can put whatever you want inside of it. That's what's cool about these things. And then David Yablonsky says it's 10 afternoon. Yep, we're on track. We're going to be okay. I think I can be a little bit late to this conference call if need be. Now, what you see here on the left is the results of this drive that is inside the enclosure. These are the test results that it had when it was plugged directly into an NVMe slot on a computer. On the right side here, this is the test running with that same drive installed in the enclosure. So you're going to see a very big difference in performance just because we're running one over USB. Matt Green says, when you do teleconferences, do you use a laptop webcam or the output of my TriCaster? So actually, I haven't been doing my teleconferences down here so I'm on the school board, so we're doing a lot of meetings. In fact, that's one of my meetings at 1 is with the superintendent for the school board. So I have not been doing those down here. What I've been doing is my secondary office space upstairs. I was using that for the conferences. And so here's what's funny, is I have my PC up there, and my monitor doesn't have a camera on it. My iMac over here does, so I've been using that for some things. And then I found a webcam in my closet, but before I found it, I had hooked up one of my camcorders with the cam link from Elgato, so I have like a super crisp image for some of the conferencing I'm doing. What's interesting is that the test so far is showing some very different results on that same drive. But that's due to the USB controller they're using and all that kind of stuff. And we'll let that keep running. And I have this connected to my to the Thunderbolt port here on the PC. Now this is not a Thunderbolt drive, but this port supports USB 3.1 Gen 2, so we're able to get the full performance out of it. And I'll tell you what, though, it's been really challenging is all of the live streaming because I love, so my favorite streaming platform right now is, for our meeting platform is Google Meet. We have that as part of our school district, and I use it just because I have a Google Suite account for the business. There's only 2 of us on it, but we use it. And it's a great platform. It doesn't do live streaming very well, though, but it's a lot easier for people to come into the chat. because they don't need to install software. Zoom will work without software, but they really push you to install stuff, and Google Meet just works when you click the link. It's so easy. But Google Meet doesn't stream outside of your domain, so you can do live streaming on Google Meet, but you can't live stream easily out. So you have to bring the stream into a computer and then restream it back out again. And you all know my struggling bandwidth issues here. In fact, right now my YouTube stream is reporting yellow, so we're hitting some limits on upstream bandwidth already. What Zoom does is they have the ability to stream from their platform, their server side, to Facebook and other RTMP providers directly, which is really cool. So you could stream out your Zoom conference without using any of your bandwidth at home because you can stream through their cloud, and that's a really cool feature. But you have to pay for that. But I guess you have to pay for Google Meet also because you need the Google Suite account to use it. All right. Almost done here. Yeah, Matt Green, they used to, back in the Google Plus days, that's where this Google Meet thing began. That was the old Hangouts. And I was just thinking about when Google Plus launched, this was 10 years ago now, I think. And it was so fun because you were able to connect. They had these little apps that would monitor like the celebrity accounts and stuff, and they would hold these random Hangouts. I don't know if Google was paying them or just people liked doing it. But they had these random Hangouts, and you could just click on there and pop in to like one of these celebrity Hangouts and say hi to people. So I got in on one with Guy Kawasaki. That was pretty cool. He's an old Apple employee that a lot of us older nerds know quite well. All right, so the test is done here, and you can see what we're getting. So I want to take a look at, I'm actually kind of concerned over that performance. Megabytes in megabits. So, yeah, I guess, it's probably about right. It's about 6.4 megabits per second. So we're pushing past regular USB speeds here. So you're definitely getting into the Gen 2 territory. And you can see some of the random reads and writes here below what you get on the other one. And that could be due to the controller, how many lanes we've got, right? All that kind of stuff. So, but it's still better than a lot of solid state drives you would buy outright, and you could mix and match and get the right components put together there for what you need. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is switch up this shot to show the drive plugged in. Maybe we'll just kind of rest it here on the case or something just to give it a little visual. And let me zoom in. And then we'll pick up the shot. That actually looks like a pretty cool shot, doesn't it? And it's definitely on the warm side for sure. But that's normal because you want the heat to kind of go out through those vents, or to the heat sink there. Kevin Adams says he wishes he could pay just to update his upload speeds. Oh my gosh. That is my entire life right now, is just wishing for more upstream bandwidth. Right before this whole crazy thing started, I think I've been telling some of you, I've been looking at dedicated office space. Not that I don't really need it because I could do everything I need to do from home, but the upstream bandwidth is killing me because I can't do more. So like what happens is whenever I go live streaming during the day, so Jake, who works with me, he calls in remotely and he's handling some of the uploads to the other platforms that we're doing and some of the other stuff. I got to call him to say, hey, don't upload because I'm going to be doing a live stream. I can't live stream and upload at the same time because I've only got 12 megabits per second. I need 5 to simulcast to you here on YouTube and Amazon, right? So it's really tricky. Just undust my fancy new computer here. All right. Okay, so I think what we'll do is, I think I'll minimize this and then kind of push it up when we get that screen up there. And then so you can see what I'm going to do. I'll just kind of move this here and just show the difference. Actually, glad I found the screenshot that I took. Okay. All right. Monty's only got 2 or 3 up. Yeah, if I stuck with my DSL connection, that is all I would have as well. So it's rough. Upstream's rough, and nobody thinks it's important, right? So it's difficult. And Matt's saying, come on, Starlink. And I am really curious what Starlink is going to be on the upstream. They have not said much about it. The more I've been reading about it, I don't know if you're going to have enough transmitting power to have decent upstream speeds. So I'm going to bet, my gut is it's going to be 10 up, and then you can get up to, a gigabit down. That's my guess, but we'll see what they come up with. All right. 3, 2, 1. So we have now plugged in, actually let's start again, 3, 2, 1. So I have the drive now plugged into my gaming laptop here, and it's connected to my Thunderbolt port. This is not a Thunderbolt drive, but I wanted to plug it into a port that I know supports USB 3.1 Gen 2, so that we can get the fastest possible connection here with the drive. So with that port here going, I'm trying to explain the best way to describe which port to plug it into, because people are going to find that their speeds will vary based on the type of port that they connect. All right, let me do so Kevin Adams is wondering if the upstream limit that I am dealing with is artificially imposed. So what's interesting is that in parts of the town, they do have the gigabit service, but not where I am, because I'm in a less of a denser area of the community, so they have not put a lot of attention in this area. And I think the reason why the upstream is what it is because cable systems are coax to the last mile for the home. And actually beyond, I wouldn't even say last mile, because there's fiber running right outside my door, but the cable service is being delivered over a coax cable. So what happens is that the fiber goes into a node, and then from that node, a bunch of coax is spit out to each of the homes in the neighborhood. And those nodes are probably the costliest part of that installation. So they try to get as many customers on a single node as they can. And then everyone on that coax is sharing the frequency. So you have, I think they use time division, so everybody transmits their data as this cycle is running. And if you've got any interference on that wire, even if somebody has a splitter that goes bad or something, it can screw up everything for the whole neighborhood. It's terrible. And the Comcast guys were telling me that they had spent a lot of time trying to tamp down interference throughout the area, but they have not been able to bring the faster DOCSIS 3.1 gigabit speed stuff to us. And so if I had the gig service in the other part of town, I could get a gigabit down, which is not as important to me, but it goes 35 up. So I'd actually triple my upload speed, even though 35 is still not everything that I need and want, but 35 would be a lot better than 12. So not quite 3 times, but close to it. All right, so let us cut to here, 3, 2, 1. All right, so I have the drive connected to my PC, and it's plugged into a Thunderbolt port on this particular computer, which of course is compatible with USB Type-C. And this is where you need to do some research as to which ports on your computer are the fastest, because this drive will support the USB 3.1 Gen 2 standard. That is offering a theoretical bandwidth of 10 gigabits per second. But not all ports on every computer support that faster speed. So if you are plugging into a USB 3 Gen 0 connection, Gen 2, Gen 1. It's the other thing, they keep changing the names of everything, so it's hard to get the right description of this. So let me start one more time. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I've got the drive here connected to my computer's Thunderbolt port. This is not a Thunderbolt drive, it's USB. But Thunderbolt ports are compatible with USB-C, and I know that this port is the fastest one that I have on this particular computer. So this one supports USB 3.1 Gen 2, which supports a theoretical bandwidth of 10 gigabits per second. There are other ports that you might find on your computer, or perhaps even the same ones that I have, that don't support the Gen 2 standard and will run at half of that maximum bandwidth. So you really need to look at your computer's manual and see what ports you've got. And then if you've got a Gen 2 port, plug the drive into that Gen 2 port to get the best performance. Now, what I want to show you is a benchmark that I ran on the drive here with the NVMe that we just installed. And as you can see here, we're reading and writing at just over 800 megabytes per second, and that's equivalent to about 6.4 gigabits per second. So we're going beyond the base USB 5 gigabit speed and definitely making use of that Gen 2 bandwidth that we have available for us here, but we're not using all of it. So you're not going to get that full 10 gigabits, but it looks like we're getting close to that. And what I wanted to do here was pull up a test that I ran on this same drive earlier when it was plugged into the PC directly in one of those NVMe slots that you have on your motherboard. And as you can see here, the performance is very different just because even though this is the fastest USB available, we don't have all of the bandwidth and ability to transfer as much data as we would if it was installed directly. So you can see here the sequential reads and writes are much lower than this drive is capable of. We're also seeing a drop-off in performance on its random reads and writes, but it's not doing bad. In fact, this drive right now, as configured, is doing better than a lot of off-the-shelf external USB SSDs. So we're getting really good performance here, but again, not as good as what the drive can really do if it was plugged directly into a motherboard. I think that worked. What do you all think? All right. Oh, it's crazy. And then I was at, so Travis is saying whoever's in charge of naming USB types should be fired. Well, then I was at CES, and the USB people are always there. And now they've got USB 20 and USB 10. So that makes more sense to me because now there's another standard, by the way. So USB 4, and this is what's confusing. Thunderbolt 3 and USB are merging, but not every computer is going to support the Thunderbolt side of USB. So now they've got USB 20, which is double what we're getting with USB Gen 2. So it's, yeah, I don't even know where to start with it. It's just, it's going to be very confusing. All right, so where did we leave this off here? All right, so we're left on the benchmark, I think. Let's see. I'm just watching my replay if you want to see what I'm looking at here. So let's go to the end. Yep, okay. And by the way, this is why I have the TriCaster, is because I can do streaming and talking to you at the same time. Although I've been playing with vMix lately, which is really good software. So that's something that's pretty cool. All right. 3, 2, 1. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that this will get a bit warm to the touch. That's because it's using the metal casing here as a heat sink. Nothing to be alarmed about there. Most drives should be able to manage their heat by throttling down performance, and it will vary based on which drive that you choose to put inside. So your mileage, of course, will vary on this product given what you put inside of it. But overall, it seems like a pretty solid do-it-yourself kit. I like the fact that it doesn't require any tools, so it's very easy to swap drives out if you want to upgrade or maybe just use this as a means of offloading data from PCs and stuff. So lots of flexibility here, no tools, and it seems to be performing pretty well given that it's a USB device. That's going to do it for the pluggable SSD enclosure. And until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. I think I want to shoot this again because I forgot to mention it doesn't support M2 SATA drives. So let me start this one more time. 3, 2, 1. So overall, it's a pretty nicely performing enclosure here for a USB drive. It won't give you the same performance that the NVMe drive, again, would do inside of the computer, but it is good for what it is, and it's a potentially more affordable way to make your own high-performance external SSD. And you can, of course, go around and shop for the lowest priced devices that you might want to find if you're on a budget. It will get warm to the touch. That's because you've got the heatsink here built into the case. Nothing to be alarmed about. Most of these drives will keep themselves cool. And remember, this only works with NVMe M2 drives. You might see drives out there called M2 SATA. Those will not work with this, just the M2 NVMe drives. So choose carefully, but the good news is the NVMe drives are the highest performing ones out there. So not a bad little device here. I like the fact that it's toolless and very easy to get into, so that's good. You've got a little drive indicator light there as well. So altogether, a nice little package here, great for IT pros that are constantly moving data around. A great way to maybe image a small capacity SSD to a larger one. Those are kind of the things that I would do with this. And again, having it being completely toolless is a great way to get all of that done. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right, I think that could work for a conclusion. So we'll drop that one in there. And we got a little bit of time here, so I can probably get most of the other things that I want to get done on this review as well. So this is the conclusion. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Mac, just to be consistent in some of the testing that we're going to be doing on the next products. So what I got here is, let me cut to the, so we did that whole video on SD cards the other day, and I thought it might be fun to start testing all of the recent cards that I have purchased to use to see how they perform. And I can throw these up on the Amazon product pages and on the extras channel just to get some quick video hits done here. So we're going to just swap out the Mac. I like to use the Blackmagic Disk Speed Test for those things, and the Mac is the one I've been running it on, so I just want to be consistent. So let me just eject this drive and pop that out. By the way, I hope you're all staying healthy and washing your hands and everything. Important to do right now. I would love, so I think they reached out to me. Sabrent, I think, has a Thunderbolt enclosure like this one. And I want to say I've got one on the way. Either it's complete, either it's coming, either it's an enclosure or a drive that's in there. But you can always take them apart, I guess, and kind of swap them out. Because I am curious to see how a Thunderbolt enclosure like this would work. But the good news is now, like on just about every high-end Windows PC I've been looking at lately, or even the mid-range now, we're starting to see Thunderbolt more prevalent. And Thunderbolt really is, I mean, it's your PCI Express on a wire. There's not a lot of stuff in between. David Yablonsky says, sorry, I'm back. Trying to decide on feeding my at-home child or watching me. It's good that you put the kid ahead of me. I'm getting hungry myself. And I've got leftovers from last night that I'll be digging into in a little bit. So I did my... The good news is that, the food supply, everything is flowing normally. It's such a, for essentially a disaster, it is a very different one than I'm used to, because usually there's infrastructure issues and things closed, and I'm really grateful to those of you who work in the retail business and who work in food supply and first responders and medical folks. There's a lot of things happening that because people are putting themselves at risk while the rest of us stay home, and I appreciate everything everyone is doing in that regard. All right, so let's plug that in. I kid you not, I have not interacted face-to-face with people that are not my family in 2 weeks. I had a meeting, so 2 weeks ago, so it wasn't last week or the week before, it was the week before that. Whatever it was, we had a Board of Ed meeting the night before we closed the schools, and that's the last meeting I've actually been at in person with anybody. And I'm pretty sure that I came back, I think I told you all this, that I came back from CES with this. This is back in January, because I had the fever, I had like all the symptoms that the people that have a minor case experience, all of them. Had the cough, I had the fever, I had, I think I had some GI stuff too, like all the things that they've been talking about, and the exhaustion, my goodness, like that was the thing that really got me. I was just blown out of the water, and I have no way of knowing if I had it or not, because at that point, it was like the third week in January, pretty much. So, all right, let me just mute this real quick. It's my stockbroker now. I'm staying in the market. So I'm not doing that great right now, but we're gonna hang in there. Okay. Just put this. See, what's funny is that I don't see this dust that you see here. It's crazy. I've got my little rag there, so let me get that cleaned up real quick. That's a little better. Okay. So let me just plug this in to get our HDMI out so you can see what I'm doing. I'll plug it into Mr. Sparkbox here. Oh, David Bound's got a good comment about the haircutting thing. Yeah, so I would normally have gotten my haircut by now. And so, because it's definitely getting longer. So I'm going to be using more like stuff to just keep it from, so I was looking at so what I used to do with my hair, I used to like just do a flat top thing and it just would just balloon out. So I've been able to get a little bit more time between haircuts, but that was another thing that I would just go out and do is get a haircut. And yeah, so it's going to be very evident which of us are have barbers or hairstylists nearby that we can chat with here. I'm going to try to see if I can get this card in the right spot. And I think this one's going to be a super quick one. I'm just trying to get it focused. Come on, camera, focus. You know what I might do is just take a picture. I think actually if I hold it here, I could probably zoom it in later. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'm going to hold it right here, and I'm going to do my little intro here. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we've got a quick one today. We're taking a look at the SanDisk Extreme Pro card. These are very popular. You see them all over the place. And what I thought I would do in this really quick video is take a look and see how close we can get to the advertised speed on the card. And we're going to use the fastest reader that I could find out there. This is the SanDisk USB-C reader that supports the latest and greatest standards and is what we used the other day in our SD card video to see how fast some of these UHS 2 cards are. And the Extreme Pro card here is advertising speeds of 170 megabytes per second. It's also rating itself, though, as a V30, which means they're only guaranteeing that it can write at 30 megabytes per second, which for most 4K camcorders is more than enough. I think my camcorder only needs about 12 megabytes per second in sustained reads. We did a full video on all of these symbols, so you should definitely check that out. This is a UHS 1 card because we only have the one row of pins on the card here. And we're going to insert it in the reader now and run the same black magic test that we did in the other video to see how it performs. Let's have a look at that. But before we do, though, I want to let you know that I paid for the card here with my own funds. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, nor is anyone reviewing or approving it before it gets uploaded. And I also bought the reader here with my own funds, too. Let's get to it. All right, so that's card part 1. I may actually be able to do all 3 things before the end of the day here. Let's see, this is card intro. Okay. And let's cut to 2 here. And we're just going to pop the reader in first. And then we'll pop the card in. I may not even show that. I don't even need to show that really. I think I can just show the screen here. And let's pull up my backdrop here. I got this neat little app called Backdrop, and it's nice because it just puts a backdrop on screen, but you can keep all your apps open. I use it all the time. Just 'cause it's simpler, I think it's nicer to look at. You know, your eyes are drawn to the test itself, and that's it. And we're going to start the test before I hit the record button and just let this run for a minute or two to see how it works. And if you're watching on Amazon, I will pull up the product we're looking at. Yeah, these 64 gig cards right now cost about 20 bucks. $20 for 64 gigs. It's crazy. I paid like hundreds of dollars for my first 1 gigabyte hard drive in 1995 or 6. And that hard drive came with a virus on it. Had the Stoned Empire Monkey Bee virus. That was nasty. It was a MBR. It would insert itself in the master boot records, so you couldn't like get rid of it without like doing some major stuff. It was my my freshman year of college. Yeah, that was a rough one. Yeah, the hard drive actually came with a virus on it. That thing was, that was a, talk about viruses, that virus was really quite dangerous on PCs because it would spread via floppy disks. And that's how everybody transferred data back then. So you put the floppy disk in, it would immediately infect the master boot record. And it got around some of the antivirus at the time, too. All right, so let that run for a second. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got the card installed and running. You know what's funny, actually? What do they rate that card at? They said that that's 170 megabytes per second. I'm trying to figure out, like, how would they come close to that? Like, what's the, like, where are they getting that from? Because it's not even close, right? So if we add 93 plus 82, we get 175. So maybe that's how they, they came up with the number. Okay. See what I mean? You got to look at the ratings because that's what matters here. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are now running the test here on the card, and the read speeds here are pretty good, 93 megabytes per second, and the writes are doing pretty good too at about 80 megabytes per second. And remember, this card is only guaranteeing you 30 megabytes per second, so it's doing better than what SanDisk is rating the card at. But you'll notice it's not doing as well as the megabytes per second that their marketing people put on the front of the card as well. Although I suppose if you add these two numbers together, you do get about 170 megabytes. Did I say two cards? I think I did say that. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're running the test now on my Mac here with that card inside of that USB-C reader. And as you can see, we're reading off the card at 93 megabytes per second, which is very good for one of these UHS-1 cards. And we're also getting very good write speeds at around 82 megabytes per second, which goes well beyond the 30 megabytes per second that they're guaranteeing with the V rating that's on the front of the card. What we're not getting, though, is the 170 megabytes per second that they were advertising on the front as well. And that's where the marketing comes in and suddenly changes some of the picture. That's not right. Let me start this again. One more time. See, now I'm like seeing the clock tick closer to 1, and now I'm rushing myself. I need to slow down for a second here. Let's see what we've got for comments. Chad says I should use some tacky cloth. I got to get some tacky cloth for my screens. I had gotten the computer back from repair recently, and it was just so beautiful, and now it's skunked up again. Let's see here. David Bound, compared to the daily use of 5 1/4-inch floppies on an IBM PC XT, this hard drive was an amazing upgrade. Yeah, that was a big deal going to a hard drive, because my Apple IIgs did not have a hard drive, the one behind me. It does now. I've got some modern hardware in there. And I ran a BBS off a floppy drive, which was so funny. But I went from that to a 386 with a 130 megabyte hard drive inside. That was pretty cool. All right, let me finish this up. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got the card now inside the card reader, and we're using the Blackmagic disk speed test to measure its performance. We've been running the test now for about 5 minutes or so, and we're getting read speeds at 93 megabytes per second or thereabouts, which is very good for an SD card. And the writes here are also very good at around 82 megabytes per second or so. So it's performing well beyond the V rating that SanDisk assigned to the card, but it's performing below the marketing numbers that they printed on the card. Remember, that card said it could go to 170 megabytes per second. And I suppose if you add the reads and the writes together, you get 170 megabytes per second. So maybe that's where that number comes from. And that's why you've really got to look at those V ratings when you're out shopping for these cards, because that's going to tell you the minimum level of performance you can expect from it. So remember, V30 is 30 megabytes per second. We're exceeding that here, but we're not getting anywhere near the performance that the marketers printed on the front of that card. So just keep all of that in mind. Again, though, I think they're coming up with that 170 megabyte figure by adding these two numbers together. I don't know why they're doing that, but hey, that's how they do things on these SD cards here. And it's always important to run these tests for yourself, look at the reviews, and also understand what your equipment needs to effectively work with a card. And we covered a lot of that in our SD card overview that we did the other day. So definitely check that out. And that'll do it for this look at the SanDisk Extreme Pro. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. Boom. Quick ones. That's what the Extras channel is all about. Real quick. In and out, and you're done. And I called it the right thing too, so that's even better. I think I might play that one back real quick. Card outro, conclusion. All right. I'm just going to play that back one last time, make sure I got everything in there. Yeah, so that's like a 3-minute video. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we've got the card now inside the card reader, and we're using the Blackmagic Disk Speed Test to measure its performance. We've been running the test now for about 5 minutes or so, and we're getting read speeds at 93 megabytes per second or thereabouts, which is very good for an SD card. And the writes here are also very good at around 82 megabytes per second or so. So it's performing well beyond the V rating that SanDisk assigned to the card, but it's performing below the marketing numbers that they printed on the card. Remember, that card said it could go to 170 megabytes per second. And I suppose if you add the reads and the writes together, you get 170 megabytes per second. So maybe that's where that number comes from. And that's why you've really got to look at those V ratings when you're out shopping for these cards, because that's going to tell you the minimum level of performance you can expect from it. So remember, V30 is 30 megabytes per second. We're exceeding that here, but we're not getting anywhere near the performance that the marketers printed on the front of that card. So just keep all of that in mind. Again, though, I think they're coming up with that 170 megabyte figure by adding these two numbers together. I don't know why they're doing that, but hey, that's how they do things on these SD cards here. And it's always important to run these tests for yourself, look at the reviews, and also understand what your equipment needs to effectively work with a card. And we covered a lot of that in our SD card overview that we did the other day, so definitely check that out. And that'll do it for this look at the SanDisk Extreme Pro. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. Okay, there's an echo, I know. 1 second, I just got to adjust my camera here. Oops. Okay, yes, I'm frozen, but not anymore. Okay, next thing on the docket, I've got 10 minutes. I can do this. We have... and by the way, David Bound, check out my latest video. We did a really fun video on SD cards, which I hope people will find useful. So now I've got my iPad Pro out here. This is not the new Pro. And the reason why I didn't get a new Pro is that they have yet to take advantage of everything the current Pro can do. So why bother, right? So this thing, I got in through the Amazon Vine program the other day. It's the 2-pan USB-C 6-port hub adapter. And it looks like it works. I think it's going to work with anything that has a USB-C port, but it is designed to kind of sit around the design of the iPad. So I think it sticks to the side or something. So we'll see how this works. And I think we'll just let this one roll and see how it comes together. Now what you get on here is, let me set the auto lock on this thing for a little bit longer. So what you get on this one is auto lock. We'll set this at 15 minutes. This way I get a little bit more thing going here. What you get on this thing is HDMI. They say 4K HDMI, which the iPad does not do, I don't believe. And I probably need to check. I'm guessing it's like HDMI. Not the faster one. USB-C, oh, it's got USB-C on it. USB 3, SD card, and a micro SD card. Headphone jack. Headphone jack. Wow. Because I don't think this one has a headphone jack. No, it doesn't. Cool. You got to test that out. And aluminum alloy CNC casing. So there might be some things here that we have to come back to because we may not get the thing going there. And Digital Yojimbo says, 2 pans are not enough, he needs 3. I am with you there. You can never have enough pans, especially when you've got a bunch of dirty dishes in the sink like I do right now. All right, so we may have to come back. I'm going to start this, but I may have to do a little bit more on this because I got to test the audio and all the other stuff there. So, all right, so let's get this thing positioned here. And I'm assuming this would work with the other Mac, the other iPad Pro. So I don't think they changed the exterior that much. I'm just going to turn the camera down just a little bit. Okay. Let's see what we can get done here real quick. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. We're taking a look today at a USB Type-C hub designed for the iPad Pro. This is the 2-pan T7 HPP. And in full disclosure, this came in free of charge through the Amazon Vine program. However, nobody is paying for this review and unboxing, nor is anyone reviewing it or approving it before it gets uploaded, and all of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Now, this is your standard USB Type-C hub, so you could plug this into a computer as well. It doesn't just work with the iPad, but it's designed to sit on the iPad case here so you can get some additional port replications. So what ports do you get? You get a USB 3 port here, you get HDMI out, you've got 2 card readers, a full-size SD card reader and a micro SD card reader. You've got a USB-C output here and a headphone jack, which is lacking, of course, on the iPad Pro. And I'm guessing that you will want to keep this thing on all the time for that, although the audio circuitry is probably inside of this and not sounding all that great. Now, I've got my keyboard case on here right now, so the first check here is whether or not it will fit with that case on. And let's see. Yeah, not really. So it looks like we've got to take it off the case, which immediately limits its usefulness to me. So then we can slide it on here. Now, it doesn't fit magnetically. It's got like a rubber thing here to kind of get it sealed on. But it does stay really well put there, so that's good. But the fact that it doesn't work with the keyboard case on is a big problem for me because I use my iPad primarily with that case on there. And then the cable here just plugs into the USB-C port and you're connected, so that's good. What I need to do now, because I can't use my keyboard case with this, is get out a stand and we'll see what you can do with the dock. All right, that was a good run. So why would you design a device for the iPad Pro that doesn't work with the keyboard that everybody has for it? That's like, yeah, not good. Okay. So there's like a 1.5 stars right off the bat. It might perform great, but what good is it, right? Because now you're immediately making it less useful. All right. And just so you all know, I've got 7 minutes before my call, so I may not finish this before we are done here. By the way, I've got these, you can find these stands on Amazon. This one's got like a different logo on it, but they're all like available. Just look for like stand, like $5. They're great. I got a bunch of them. Okay. Yeah, so I think I'll cut back to, I like the way it fits too. I mean, it fits really nicely, but it immediately loses some usefulness here for me. All right, so I think what I'll do here is I think I ended on, but this is like the problem with it though, is like it's okay, right? It's not bad. You get everything on there. It does add a little weight to the top. So let me select the device on our stream here, so those of you watching on Amazon can follow along. So it does add a little bit of weight to the top here. But what we'll do is we'll start testing out a few of the simpler things first and then working our way from there. And then I'll finish this up offline after my call. 402 or 500 hub intro. All right. And normally I would play this back and review it again, but I want to try to give you as much content before I have to jump on this call. Okay. Now, three, two, one. All right, so I've got my stand out here ready to go. The hub is not all that heavy, but it does impact the balance of the iPad. So right now, as I'm holding it this way, it definitely feels heavier towards the top. So it does change some of the perfect balance that they have achieved with their engineering with the iPad itself. Again, it does fit pretty nicely. You can see why you can't use the keyboard case here because those pogo plugs are pretty much blocked by this. There's no way to get the case on while the hub is sitting on there. But it does connect pretty easily with the USB-C connector, and it's not going anywhere. It sticks on really pretty sturdily there. So let's get this thing on the stand here. The first thing I'm going to try is the HDMI on it, which I am hoping is right there. It is right there. Now, when you do have it in your stand like I do here, your USB port is covered up, so you might want to just kind of flip it around this way to get all the ports accessible. But we'll do, just for the sake of convenience, is just put it back in this position here. So I've just connected the HDMI, and let's see if the HDMI port works. Yep, sure enough, we've got the HDMI functioning, so that is good. I think what I'll do next is take out an SD card and pop it in the slot here, and let's see if it shows up on the cards or the file app here. The card does stick out quite a bit, so be aware of that. And I'm just going to load up the Files app now and see if we can get that going there. So we'll go over to Untitled, and there we go. We've got my card is readable, so that's good. All right. And I think we'll cut there. Trying to see if I had anything. It looks like we're good there. Okay, so we're going to go hub, take 2. I think what I'll do is I progress through this. I'll leave everything plugged in. 501, hub, usage, part 1. Okay. It is cool that it's got a USB-C port. I got to give them that. David Bound has a good question about the power hit that the hub will draw. That I don't know. That I don't know. Eric's Variety Channel, what did I miss, or how much did I miss? A lot, because I'm about to end in about 3 minutes to go on a conference call. So hopefully I will get in a few more things that we can try here. I'm just looking for one of my micro SD cards just to see if we can get 2 cards going at the same time. So I've got this one here. So I'll cut back to here. And I think this one will go in on top here. Let's go the other way. So it's funny, you put one in backwards and the other one in right side up. Well, that kind of snaps in, okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, next we're going to try another card here at the same time to see if it can read 2 at once. So we've got this SanDisk micro SD card that we're going to stick in the micro SD card slot here. And I'm going to try to get at it in a way in which you can see me actually inserting it. I think it actually goes all the way in here. Oh, it does. Look at that. So that's something you could leave attached there all the time, as I almost fall out of my chair here. And it looks like that card is coming up here as well. So I've got some videos that we can play back on here real quick from a prior review. There we go. You can see me talking. And then if I switch back, you can see the HDMI is still functioning while we've got 2 cards in here. So that's a good sign. Let's plug in some more stuff and see what else it works with. All right. Very good there. Kevin Crawford wants to know if I did a live stream with the Legends Arcade. I haven't yet. I think when it shows up on Amazon, I will. I did, though, get in a light gun for it the other day. It's one of those MAME light guns, so we're going to try that out pretty soon and see how that goes. All right, so 502. This is more stuff on hub. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to give you one more little shot here before I close out, and then I gotta pop off because I've got to get on a conference call. But if I find more stuff that I can demo on this, I will do that for you. Bear with me for 1 second here. I'm just going to do one last thing. And that way you can at least see some of the other things that you can do with this device. And let me grab my keyboard. And I ended on me. So I want to keep everything plugged in and working so we can just kind of start loading it up with stuff. Okay. All right, so now we're going to plug in this keyboard and trackpad because now the iPad works with the mice. And the headphone jack I will unfortunately not be able to do because I got to be on this call like right now, but I'm going to do one last take and then I'm going to head out and then I'll be probably not, I might be back today depending on the kids and where they are. So, all right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, one last thing to check out. Actually, not one last thing. 3, 2, 1. All All right, now we're going to try a keyboard and trackpad combo with its USB dongle. This is like the equivalent of plugging a keyboard in. I did flip this around so that I could get access to the USB port here on the top. So we're going to plug that in and then switch on the keyboard. And if you were watching my video the other day, you can now use your mouse, as you can see, on this trackpad even, with your iPad. So that seems to be working just fine. So that's working, and maybe I will go in and check out some websites or something and see if we can get that to work. So I'm just going to clear off this screen here and go to, I don't know, we'll go to my website here, and the keyboard seems to work as well. So all good on that front. We got more stuff to plug in though. Let's check that out. Okay, so I think we're good there. Okay, everybody, I've got to jump onto this conference call. And I don't know how long it's going to be, so likely I will not be able to come back for a little bit. But you know where to find me. Click that bell, and you will be able to say hi to me the next time I go live. And don't worry, we will be back again soon. Just going to write that down. I got to figure out a way to test that headphone jack. I think what I might do is actually plug it into my TriCaster. And then we still have a USB-C port we got to play with there too. So, all right, so I'm going to take off for now, but there you go. We got everything in, which was great. So we started playing with the hub. We see how the hub is working. We got the memory card tested. We got the hard drive thing going. Cool stuff. I will be back. Thank you all for tuning in. See you in a little bit.